Based off many discussions held in Washington over the last week, there's a chance a new farm bill may be on the horizon. The House and the Senate, controlled by different parties, have differing versions of the legislation. We discussed that Thursday afternoon with UNL Extension Public Policy Specialist Brad Lubben. But before our farm bill conversation, we asked Brad about the final decision on ACRE and DCP farmers need to make in the very near future.
We've talked quite a bit about what this decision in 2013 is about, the protection of ACRE versus the 20% penalty of giving up part of the DP. But in May, USDA published new data. It all matters. The price forecasts that USDA published for the first time in the 2013 crop come out in May. Those forecasts are pretty weak for corn, soybeans, and wheat. That makes ACRE more relevant. In fact, puts ACRE in the money for dryland soybeans and not that far away for irrigated soybeans or dryland corn. We also saw production numbers from USDA. A 33 bushel yield projected right now for Nebraska wheat. That already would put ACRE in the money for 2013 at current price projections, current yield projections. So suddenly we knew ACRE had more safety, but maybe didn't have as high a return. For some crops, ACRE is very, very relevant here for 2013.
So soybeans, wheat would be in the money. How close is corn?
Corn is the safety net as we calculate it, trend yields, current price expectations. The safety net for corn is out of the money, but you're talking about a $4.70 projected price for USDA. I'm not into price projections. I don't know what individual producers might think about that number. It would take a $4.20 to $4.50 price to trigger ACRE payments for corn if we were to reach trend yields. If you're a little bit less than optimistic on dryland yields and you're concerned about price, there you are.
Let's move into the Farm Bill discussions. The House and Senate both have their versions. The Senate actually moved theirs down to the floor, so we're getting somewhere here, Brad. What does the timeline look like?
That's right. It's amazing after 2+ years of watching this and looking at steps that didn't come to fruition. We've moved very quickly. The House and Senate Ag Committees marked up their bills last week. The Senate brought it to the floor already on Monday. The typical amendment by amendment debate and deliberation continues. But we're very likely to see a Senate Farm Bill done by the end of the month. The House has promised to pick theirs up in mid-June. We could very well see both bills done here by late June, but a big challenge for a conference committee to iron out the differences. That may take most of the summer. We're still looking at late summer before we could even contemplate maybe both chambers considering a compromise bill. And we've got a lot of big questions about what that compromise bill would look like.
There are obviously big differences with Democratic-controlled Senate, Republican-controlled House. SNAP is one of the big ones. Let's talk about crop insurance. How does that differ between the two?
Well, fundamentally, this question is one for the future, starting with this bill. How much do we look at the commodity program as a safety net versus how much do we look at the crop insurance program as a safety net? Should the commodity program protect price or should it protect revenue? Well, how should it integrate with crop insurance? Crop insurance has become the biggest part of the safety net, and clearly farm state senators and representatives of ag districts certainly seem to be fighting for crop insurance first. We've got to maintain that component of the safety net. Several ag interests, particularly southern commodities, would still like to see a heavy price component, so that debate continues as well.
There's a lot of talk about SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance. Senate is obviously more behind it than the Republican-controlled House is, but what will maybe be the end game here?
You know, here's a fundamental challenge. The Senate Ag Committee pushed forward a bill that would make $4 billion in cuts to SNAP, the same cuts that they proposed in the last couple of years. The House Ag Committee put a bill together that would cut $20 billion. Well, those on the left wing think $4 billion is too much to cut. Those on the right wing think $20 billion is not enough to cut. Any compromise that moves through both chambers is going to alienate both ends of the political spectrum. And it's a question of, are eligible people getting the benefits they deserve? Are benefits going to people who really don't meet the eligibility guidelines because of something called categorical eligibility? Is there fraud? Is there waste? Those issues are always up for debate. But fundamentally, it's still about dollars and the emotional debate that we've already witnessed both in committee and on the floor is about how many dollars are you going to take out of nutrition programs. Compromise suggests we'll end up somewhere between 4 and 20, but that will be a hard sell to either end of the spectrum.